happening? Since 1999 till date, this is the first time, Shehu, that there is an attempt, a concerted attempt to eliminate any form of opposition. That's one. Two, the level of state capture is just bewildering. And I can't just imagine that every institution of state, is being captured. And it's captured just to ensure that power, is retained. And so the question is, if the president of a country like Nigeria isn't a statesman, I don't think that they will be interested in reducing their powers. We always say this, that when Justice Uwais, his soul rest in peace, and his committee recommended that, they knew what they were talking about. Because in this particular jurisdiction, in our jurisdiction, the heads of, whether the governors and the president, they are called leaders of their political parties. This is a context where there isn't party supremacy. What is happening is the hegemonic powers of parties that determine, how a party is run. So everyone is kowtowing and kissing the ring of one particular man and one particular individual. And that is not how parties, should run. You can't say that legislations should just serve the interest of the incumbent, and you eliminate any form of contestation. When you do that, democracy, weakens. It's no longer interesting. What you have is some level of authoritarianism, and that is really sad for Nigeria.
You've been called to the Nigerian bar for so many years, so I'm just a student of law. But with my curiosity, something, Section 225A of the Constitution gives me worry. Mm-hmm. And I see a possibility of one of the major political parties not making it to the 2027 election.
Why do you say that?
It talks about the deregistration of political parties.
Yeah.
And there is a matter in court. Mm-hmm. And I have a very strong feeling, that one of the political parties, a major one, and I'm worried about what could be the judgment of God. If you look at the criteria for INEC having the powers of INEC to register a political party, part of it includes A, breach of any of the requirements for registration. And the requirement is a long list. B, failure to win at least 25% of votes cast in one state of the federation in a presidential election.
That's right.
Or 2, one local government of the state in a governorship election. C, failure to win at least one ward in chairmanships election. One seat in the national or state as House of Assembly election, or one seat in the councillorship election. If you look at how sensitive this criteria is, and I've looked at the situation, and I've looked at the rest, I've looked at what they're arguing in court, I'm afraid that the judgment might go in the way of INEC.
So which party are you referring to? Because you say one of the major parties.
I do not want to predict what the court will give a judgment.
No,
but my biggest worry is that this is, and look, something, I've said some of these things and it have happened.
Well, the problem
in elections, it has happened. Either it sounded good in the ears of people or not, and I hate to become a prophet.
But no, Sharon. The problem is not the law, right? What you're seeing is a weaponization. Look at it. I don't know which party you're referring to,
but
some of the parties
might go down.
But wait, in recent elections conducted by INEC even came to the court to say some of these parties actually won seats. So the question is not the law. I have been a strong proponent and supporter of Section 225. In fact, when INEC, my position on deregistration is known. I support the registration of political parties. But a situation where there is a weaponization of democratic instruments, such as this, to undermine and scuttle and decimate opposition because it's a political strategy is the one that is unacceptable.
And you know that is an
And the role that
alteration,
the court-
is an insertion
Yes.
in the fifth alteration.
Yes.
And so this new realization, it is not in the absoluteness of the letters and
Yeah.
the spirit of the law as prescribed in the section 225A,
Yeah.
but in the possibility of what could happen. And I follow the trend, and I wake up every morning not in this fear
but let me
that
ask
this
you a
could
question,
happen
Sean.
something.
Okay, let's look at this. Why do you think that there is this concerted attempt to deregister some of the strong? Because you say one of the parties is a strong opposition. Why do you think that is the case?
I don't know something, but my strong feelings. Put out the date of today, something.
Yeah.
2027 elections are coming. I will invite you back when what I'm saying now comes to pass.
No, I'm not saying it's not possible.
And I'm preparing the minds of everyone.
I'm not saying
anyone who is watching
that is not
this
the agenda.
podcast. I'm not an angel or prophet of doom.
Yeah.
But when this happens, and what it portends for our democracy is what worries me.
I think exactly, which is the fact that why should the court, right, entertain some of these complex political questions that are driven by a particular agenda to undermine competitive politics? Why is the court not asking those actors to go and settle the matter out of court like they're doing with this breach of privacy with respect to the unlawful release of voter data on the voters register? Because that's what the court is ruling. So I think that what you see, we can choose to deceive ourselves. We can choose to engage in academic exercises, but you and I know very well that this is a political strategy and this weaponization of this instrument. Because what the law envisaged was, at the time this law was being made, there were too many political parties. Some of them were mushroom political parties, because at that point in time, most of the parties, met the criteria. But you need, parties that are strong. They were briefcase parties those days. But today you have 22 or 21 political parties, right? And we believe that even with these 21 and 22 political parties, not all of them are actually strong. Some of them are proxies of some of the main political parties. We all know these things, right? So let's see what happens. But I think that if our political class care about our democracy, if they care about political legitimacy, if they truly love this country, let them allow the 2027 elections to be competitive.
If any political party is deregistered in this period, what do you think it portends?
It portends grave danger because, one, the train has left the station. Wait, excuse me? Parties conducted congresses, conducted primaries, they have submitted list of candidates, and then you use the judiciary to try to deregister them in the period of elections. Have you seen that thing happen since 1999? This is the first time we're seeing this happen. And the scale at which it's happening should worry us. It tells us that our democracy is being threatened by the, pervasive political ambitions of certain political elites.
Last year, you argued that INEC's biggest problem was political interferences, not technical failures.
And I still maintain that.
1 year later, and with 2027 drawing closer, has anything fundamentally changed, or does that concern you again?
I don't think anything has changed. In fact, I think it has actually gone worse.
We'll have more political interference in our election.
Absolutely. And you can clearly see the insidious manner that that's happening. We have said repeatedly with our election manipulation risk index that one of the ways political actors, are capturing and undermining electoral integrity is they capture the election management body. And if you look at appointments to INEC, you see that there are people who have clear partisan leanings and they are still appointed into INEC. Look at INEC's financial independence. INEC has only received 60% of its funding for the 2027 elections. Why has INEC not received 100%, 80 or 90%? So you clearly see this interference, with the entire process. Do you know, Shemun, how politicians appoint and try to appoint ad hoc officials for INEC? They have all sorts of lists. Politicians try to influence who are the collation officers. And I tell you, if you work closely on elections, there are certain lists that INEC compiles that is the major attraction of political actors. They go after the most sought after resource, from INEC are the list of collation officers and the list of ad hoc officials. This is why if politicians don't change their attitude, if politicians think that the only way you can win an election in Nigeria is you must have a particular election rigging tactic in your toolbox, if they don't shift in their mindset, we will continue to see this undue interference, with the functions of INEC. Just look at what happens. Even the role that the court is playing. There are several injunctions. There are conflicting rulings that come from the courts, and INEC is bound, to comply with those. So even whether it's political interference from incumbents, whether at the state or the federal level, but you also some level of judicial interference also with the political process. Look at the whole conflict and crisis around party leaderships and the primaries, and how we are not even certain if by the time we get to the end of this year, how many political parties are going to be on the ballot. I hope you know that in the Osun elections, INEC, we read, got a court judgment few days ago to remove a particular political party from the ballot. The ballot for Osun have already been printed. Now, INEC will have no choice but to reprint those ballot papers. Now we have wasted taxpayers' money. This is why this country enormous resources, and they don't care because they want to seize power at all costs. It doesn't matter to them, what the cost to the state, the cost to our reputation as a country, the cost to the trust that citizens have. So they don't care about political legitimacy. And so all they want is they do everything. They kill just to secure power. They rob, they steal, they try to weaponize poverty just because they want to win elections. And until they change their attitude, I don't think that we're going to make any progress.